Hey, this is Bryson. Thanks for tuning to my YouTube channel, Jacket Trades. In this video, we're going to do a channel update on what we're up to and what we're going to be doing over the next month or so, or maybe a couple months, depending how much progress we make. So, first I will talk about the TT-02 Speedrun Challenge. Phil over at PoorBoysRC has posted up the 2023 Speedrun Challenge, and it's a TT-02 challenge, Speedrun Challenge. So last year I actually won the challenge with the CW01 chassis using Lunchbox as my platform. I forget what my top speed was. At one point I had gotten up to 56 miles an hour, but that one ended in a crash. I think prior to that I was in the low 50s. So I won that speedrun challenge. And that was my first experience with the Lunchbox, but I was doing a bunch of crazy 3D printed parts because there's typically not a lot of restrictions on what you can do in Phil's speedrun challenges. So this year we're doing TT-02. I have never built nor run a TT-02 chassis. So I'm already coming in kind of late to the game on that. I think the challenge started at the beginning of August and we're getting into the second week of August. And it goes through September 30th. So you have to have your speedruns posted by September 30th. This year Phil has expanded the challenge in that he has two classes now for the challenge. The first class is, I guess, what I would consider an open class, but it's basically brushless motor with any battery you want, limited to 3S. The second class is brushed motor, and you're limited to NiCad or nickel metal hydride, up to 7 cells, I believe. So you've got kind of an open class and a stock class, which would be interesting because I have some pretty hot brushed motors that I could try out. That would, I think, give some of the brushless motors a run for their money. So it might be interesting to try the quote-unquote stock class. This is actually not the car that I'm going to build. I just wanted to pull this down as kind of a representation of a TT-02. I have ordered a TT-02 kit. It should hopefully will come in this week, and then I can get started on the build. It'll be a new experience for me, but I'm hoping I can kind of be somewhat competitive. Alright, so if you go over to the TamiyahClub.com or do a Google search for Tamiya Club Top 10 Fastest RCs, you'll find their listings, and basically they've been keeping track of everyone's submissions for the fastest Tamiya cars. So they've got like rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, or four-wheel drive, and they have non-Tamiya cars. So right now the fastest TT-02 on that website is 47.2 miles per hour. And that doesn't seem fast, but I think for TT-02 that's pretty fast. I was watching some of Phil's videos on his first runs with his TT-02, and I believe he hit his fastest that he hit with I think he has a 10.5 turn brushless, was 26.7 miles an hour. So having no experience with the TT-02 platform, I suspect that they're geared pretty low, since we're not seeing really fast speeds from these cars. With my Lunchbox, I was running 2S and I was getting up to 56, and I felt like I could easily push 60 if I could find a good place to run it. So that kind of, if you extrapolate from Lunchbox to TT-02, I would expect the TT-02s to go faster, but of course they have smaller wheels, so they probably need some pretty tall gearing. And if I look at like my Relarlo, I think I hit 51 with that. I've hit 51 with my Losi Pro Moto MX. So getting to the 50s isn't crazy, but these cars have bigger wheels. The Relarlo is running, I don't know, it had some pretty tall gearing as well. So it's going to be in the gearing to try to get taller gearing, get away from that low gearing, and get into the taller gearing, and hopefully the car holds up. But 50 miles an hour I don't think is crazy for any RC car. It should be reasonable to achieve. Out of ignorance, I'm going to say that I'm fairly confident I should be able to get into the 50s. So it'd be kind of cool to both break that record on Tamiya Club as well as maybe take home the prize again for this speedrun challenge. We'll see. But again, I have no experience coming into this, so it'll be interesting. But who would have ever thought a Lunchbox could have gotten up to 56 miles an hour either, right? I have to believe that the Lunchbox is kind of on the same level as the TT-02 as far as steering sloppiness and just suspension setup and whatnot. So that being said, we're we're throwing our hat into the challenge. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting my kid in this week and start playing around with it. And I'll try to do a build video as I progress through the challenge. So moving on, we're still playing around with the Losi ProMoto MX. I think I'm going to retire the trike design for now and just convert it back to a bike because the bike is fun to run. This is not fun to run, as we've seen, and you can see the video that I posted on that. I am playing around with printing tires. I've got kind of a standard template now for tires, so I can play around with different tread patterns. Here we see some paddles that I've messed around with. This is actually a different material than this, and so actually, no, I'm sorry. Let's see here. This is my first attempt. This is my second attempt. This is my third attempt with a different material. I like how it prints. I just need to clean up all the supports to get it out of there so I can mount it and then take it for a test run. There's a beach within driving distance. Well, everything's within driving distance. There's a beach that's within an hour of me, let's say that I'd like to take this to go do some testing when I have time. I've been very busy this month with familial and work obligations, so I haven't had a lot of time to get away to do things dedicated to RC. So I originally did an 8-paddle design, and then I was talking with Alan over at AKRC, and based on his testing with Cody over at RC Nuts, they felt that the 6-paddle was the best way to go, so I did a 6-paddle design. These are just for my own personal use. I'm not going to sell them. Alan has a much better product than I could ever hope to achieve. So if you want these, go over to AKRC and buy his paddles. But for me, it's a matter of kind of getting that model template going, and then I can extrapolate on tread designs, whether they're MotoGP tires or knobbies or whatever. I might do a ribbed front tire as well, but looking at the full-size bike or sand tires, it seems like they run the knobbies in the sand, and I don't know. I don't have any experience with that. I'd like to kind of expand upon this to RC cars as well, because once you kind of figure out how to print this stuff, it seems like a viable material, at least for dirt and sand. I've heard that the material doesn't hold up on asphalt, but it's very tough material. You can't tear it like you can the rubber on like this rubber I could tear, but this stuff is durable. So it's cool material. So there's that. Right now my Prusa is running almost non-stop, and so I'm having to wait for things like these wheels on this ProMoto. I printed these 2 wheels at the same time, and that was like a 25-hour print. So I need more print time, which means I need another printer. I've had this printer for a while, I just haven't spent the time to assemble it. So my plan is to do a build video series on assembling my Prusa Mark III, and this is already old tech. They're up to a Mark IV now, but they're roughly the same. And you know, the Prusas have been around for a very long time. They're reliable printers. They work out of the box. I highly recommend them. I've had very good experiences with my Prusa. I would recommend spending, well, so these run about 3 or 4 times more than like an Ender. So I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but I've run Creality, I've run Anycubic, and it seems like the printers work okay out of the box, and then they kind of just start going on the fritz, where you have to kind of futz with them. And I don't like messing around with printers. I just want them to print, and that's what I like about the Prusa, is it just works. And so I've got thousands of hours on my Prusa, and I've only had to work, mess around with it very minimally. But anyways, in general, I've never had to print parts for it. It just works out of the box. So I can't recommend them enough. They're great printers. They work. They are they're a little more expensive than the others out there, but they're worth the money for kind of a prosumer grade printer. I think the next level up would be like an Ultimaker, which you're talking about a $5,000 printer. So I think at a prosumer level, these are good printers to have. They make good parts. They make durable parts. There is a difference in quality in parts depending on which printer, and I've done this in the past where I've had parts, identical parts, come off different printers, and the ones on the non-Prusa printers don't hold up as well as the parts coming off the Prusa. I don't fully understand that, but it's kind of a testament to the printer, I think. Alright, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.